A very elderly English couple, a Mr. and Mrs. Brown, decided to have a second honeymoon and chose a romantic location in a swank hotel in Italy. On arriving, they were delighted to learn that two good friends of theirs, Richard and Frances Grease, were also staying at the same hotel. With the prospect of having the chance to meet up with their old friends, they proceeded to the hotel reception desk to ask if they could have their friends paged to meet them in the foyer. The young girl receptionist, who didn't speak English that well, decided to bring the manager, who could understand English a little bit better. The manager was an agreeable chap who liked to familiarise himself with these guests, using their first names where possible, and in particular he enjoyed employing their diminutives like Jim for James, etc., once he'd got to know them. On learning of Mr. and Mrs. Brown's desire, and having already got to know Mr. and Mrs. Grease as friends, the manager promptly said, with a big toothy smile, "Ah, Mr. Brown, I understand you're wanting nice Dick and Fanny Grease." Now Mr. Brown, who was still somewhat distracted by jet lag, looked down and after a few moments thought for a while, looked up at the beaming manager's face and through half-closed eyes replied discreetly, "Well, yes, after all, it is our second honeymoon, and to be quite frank, we haven't been at it for some while." I'd like to thank Ted for that gag, and if you've got any gags you'd like me to say, please send them in. And it's good evening and welcome to another exciting show. And I was going to say, please send the gags in, and they're much appreciated. But first of all, we've got, what's this? Nathan Von Poco Eclipse.
Wow, figured I'd go with the theme of the week.
That's right. And actually, it happened at 7:17 our time, even though the other side of the world. Yeah. But you see, we were the other side of the world, but apparently you're supposed to go all the way around the world, you see. So even though we can't see it, it's a time for peace, inner peace. And I just said, you know, peace all over everybody. Let's peace. I think we should peace all over. I mean, when it comes to governments, they can peace off or peace on. You know, you never know whether they're going to peace off or not. But so anyway, good evening and welcome to another exciting show. And let's have a look. Shall we have a quick shift in, Nathan? Shall we have a quick shift in chat? Because we've got a real action-packed show tonight. We'll be reviewing a book soon. This one, I think, is an excellent one. So I think we've got to... Yes, it's started on a, shall we say, a toilet note, and it just deteriorates from now on. So I've just offended everybody. So who we got tonight? We got here Matt in Kingston. Good evening, fellow dangerous, far right, hateful friends.
Oh, it's nice to be loved, isn't it?
Yes. Well, you know, about times I've been accused of things, you know, are you a what's it denier? And this, and I say, well, what one? You know. Right, we got here Pat Holly. Evening and Eva Ming. That's a new one.
It must be the effects of the
Chinese. Eva Ming. Contain Pat. Or hope everybody well. And remember old saying, woman that cooks potatoes and peas in same pot, very unhygienic. So there we go, you see. Oh, by the way, Pat, I've got an apology to make. You spent a long time sending me links on water filters, and I didn't say thank you. So I'm saying thank you now. Thanks, Kat, because I've forgot to do it on Facebook. Got a note from the parents, and hey, it's Robert, and a very good evening to one and all from me. Hello, Robert.
Well,
don't tell him he might be on soon, but we'll keep it, you know, between ourselves.
I think you need a bigger bribe, though. You need to keep bribing.
Yeah. What do you think? More foot bobs? I think a couple more foot bobs will do it. Yes, I think. Yeah. I love to look at people's expressions when you get this out. Says, "Do you want some money?" And they go, "Oh yes, please." And you give it to them, they go, Oh.
Well, if you do it real quick, you can get out of there before they notice.
That's right. Now we got here. Oh, oh yes. Let's hope Jess is okay. Hope that healing worked. We've got Matt in Kingston. If this is going to be another smutty show for agricultural, me smutty never. I mean, Nathan, have you ever known me to be smutty?
No, never.
It's perfectly clean here.
It's unheard of.
Unheard of. It certainly is. Evening,
Hey,
Nathan.
Chris.
I owe you a phone call. Sorry, mate, I forgot. Oh, well, you know,
Sounds like me, that.
That's why I put erasers on the end of pencils, isn't it? Because people make mistakes. Yeah, we got this. If this is going to be another smutty show, then my mother isn't going to let me play with you any longer. Bitch.
Ouch.
Evening, everybody. Looking forward to the show. Yes. Do you know what's about?
You realise what it's about, though, eh?
Right. So, should we kick off with? I don't know if we've seen it in the newspapers or anything like that, but the Fockham Hall poll, very well, you know, on the edge of our section. No, it wouldn't be in the mainstream, would it? But I did a poll this week in Telegram. This is a plug. Membership is increasing on Telegram, and remember, you get a lot more smut on there. Right now, this is the poll that I did, and I put down on the Live Monday YouTube, what topics do you prefer? And I was going to put, you know, sort of toilet humour shit, you know? But I put now the strange thing is now at the bottom one, positive ideas on how to get out of the current mess. That is what I call the donkey vote. I voted on that one, and you have to vote to get inside the voting, if you get what I mean. I don't know if that makes sense, but when you set a poll up, you have to put your own vote in to get into it to find out what the percentages are. So I put a donkey vote in, which is what they call in Australia a donkey vote, which is just so that one at the bottom, you can actually ignore that one because that's my one. Okay. And 39% comes out of hidden history. Isn't that interesting? And this is out, I think it says, 18 votes there and seven comments. Then we got uncovering the mainstream lies, 23%, which is interesting. General chat and natural health comes in at 11%. Prepping and grow your own is 5%. And I'm really amazed that the unexplained got 0. And so did geopolitics. So would you like me to do a Sadiq Khan and do another poll exactly the same if you want to vote on it?
keep putting the poll up until you get the result that you want.
That's right. Yes. So now, do you want to? We could carry on with the main subject. We can't get this bloody thing off. Here we go. Or I could say what happened today. What came through my letterbox? What would I do?
Go with that first. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
have you got pictures and graphics for this?
Yes. And about when the last, not the last election, the one before that, I was in my garden and front garden, and there's a bloke coming around putting leaflets through the boxes. Now I live in a cul-de-sac, and I thought it was for, you know, you get leaflets for pizzas and things like that. And but he wasn't sort of, normally it's shall we say Chinese or immigrant types that were putting the leaflets around. He wasn't. He was sort of like a middle class, like the accountant actually walking around. So anyway, he put a leaflet through my door, and, you know, morning, you know, and he walked off. I think he's past time of day quite pleasantly. He walked off, and when I got in, there's a leaflet. It says, "Sorry you were out when we were called." And it's an election leaflet, a bloody lie from the beginning. Sorry you were out when we.
Start as you mean to go on, Eric. I mean, to be fair, they're being honest by not being honest.
Well, today, you see, now I apologise for the sound of the gag at the beginning of this show. I was using my other computer, which is downstairs and under the stairs, you see. and I can I've got a view of my front door. I've got a porch, but I can still see the outline of people, you know. And the reason why I was downstairs is because I'm a lazy sod. No, actually, I sometimes what it was downstairs. I was cooking me dinner, you see, so I wanted to hover backwards and forwards to the cooking to see whether it was all right. Anyway, on with it. So I was there working away, and I was actually doing the gag for tonight, and I saw this sort of shadow appear at the door. I thought, oh, it's the postman, and it went. Oh, got some letters, and it wasn't. And what it was is it was an envelope, prepaid envelope. See, with and it says here, free post, Broxman Conservatives, which is the local election people. And this leaflet was in this envelope. We called to see you today and hear your views. Did you? What did you do? Sort of telepathically through the letterbox or something? The bastards. We called to see you today and hear your views. No, they didn't. They just posted it through the letterbox. But yeah, this is, I don't know. I mean, this is supposed to be our local councillor, and the woman at the back. Well, she looks. The woman behind her, excuse more crudity. She looks as if she's just discovered that farts shouldn't be lumpy. I mean, she's got that sort of look, hasn't she? I mean, look at the expression on that woman's face. I don't know who it is. But anyway, what also inside was this other piece of paper. You see, now let's see if I've got the have I got the front bit or the back bit? Hang on, I'll have a look here. Where are we? Oh, this is the front bit. Here we go. And it's this. It says, please tell us what issues are affecting you and your family.
Oh, where do we start?
Well, that's right. But what I like, it says, fill in your name and address below. Take a few minutes to give us your views. Well, I thought I'd get Mr. Methane along with it. He could give them my views in about 3 seconds, couldn't he? Leave it hanging out of your letterbox. I thought we could get arrested for that. And we will collect 30 minutes. So do they think, excuse my language, that you sit around all day with your finger up your ass waiting for them to come and stick a leaflet through your letterbox? I mean, most people, this was about 11 o'clock this morning, most people are either out at work or, you know, there's very few people at home at that time of the day. But as you go through it, it says here, do you support our campaign to get banking hubs in our town centres to ensure local people have easy access to their hard-earned cash? Well,
what happened to banks? You know, yeah.
Well, why can't we have our own bank?
Well, even better.
Yes, and then it's got here. How important are the following local issues to you? Keeping the council tax low.
After they just increased it, of course.
It says very not important, somewhat important. Well, of course, it's bloody important. Improving the state of our roads. Improving local bus services. What are you going to answer to that? We'd like to stay in touch about the issues you've raised. I bet they do. Lewis Cocking, that's what a dog did, and your local Conservative team are working to deliver on your priorities. On a scale of 0 to 10, how important are each of the following? Accessing GPs, dentists and healthcare, 0. Protecting our parks and green spaces, dealing with dog mess and littering, improving broadband speeds, better mobile signal, access to local jobs. That's now, I actually found an old election leaflet from years ago that had fallen in the back of us. You know when you pull a drawer back, it had fallen in the back of the drawer, and it was a several of them. And I looked at them, and I don't know why I put them in the drawer for some reason. And each one said, "We need more bobbies on the beat." That's what they used to say. We need more bobbies on the beat. They've finished with that one now. Now, the other side, what gets me is it says here, what is it? how concerned are you about crime in your local area? Nah, I can give a shit about it.
Well, actually, I'll intercede at this point. So Middlesbrough and Teesside in general, now it's the crime capital of the UK in terms of drugs and stabbings.
My God.
Yeah. So Middlesbrough is always leading in the wrong things, quite frankly. But yeah, as of about 2 months ago, we now we're the capital of knife crime and drug crime in the UK. Yay!
Because Harlow, that's 14 miles from me, used to be the drugs capital of England. Oh, I'm very upset. I mean, people, you walk around there and see people go, "Oh, yeah, man, I'm really spaced out," But no, it isn't. I reckon the people of Harlow are bloody upset about that. They've worked hard to make that the drugs capital of England. But what I like is Rishi Sunak's 5 priorities. Yeah, sort of.
Let's hear them. Go on then.
Halve inflation.
Yeah. Right.
So I would say do away with usury. You won't have inflation then, right? Problem solved. Pick that one off. Grow the economy. Well, yeah, do away with usury. Second, I've cracked it twice there. Reduce debt. We won't have any debt if you do away with usury. Cut NHS waiting lists. Well, I'd cut the NHS and start a very nice natural national health service. And it says, stop the boats.
Is this supposed to be a comedy sketch or something? Is this to take a mick out of us?
Wow. So if you come to the country illegally, you're detained and swiftly removed. No.
Wow.
About you and your views. This is it. Who are you most likely to vote for? Conservative, Labour, Lib Dem, Brexit Party, Green. Didn't vote. Oh, sorry.
Nothing about the alternative parties out there, anything like that. Then,
how did you vote? How did you vote in June 2017 general election? UKIP, Green, didn't vote. Lib Dem, Labour, Conservative. And it says here, putting political parties aside and thinking about them as people, which of the main party leaders would you prefer as Prime Minister? Is that minister or monster? Keir Starmer, Rishi Sunak, unsure, no preference. I think Mr. Right. I mean, it's just bonkers, isn't it?
Insane. Well, that's not even a choice. That's no. Which tyrant would you like to ruin your life? Tyrant A or Tyrant B?
Well, what puppet? I mean, all you're going to have is that's right, Tweedledee or Tweedledum.
Yeah, just a bit. Wow, you've got to love this. This is gold.
It is, isn't it? I mean,
just a bit.
Where do they get these? And you can tell they're on a different planet. They're on their mindset is completely different. Yeah.
Have you noticed there seems to have been a distinct lack of anything to do with, let's say, I've got to be careful on it, haven't I? Geoengineering, woke mind viruses. What about those things? I didn't see any. What about smart cities? Do you agree with them? No. 15-minute prisons, cities. No, that's not mentioned at all, is it?
That's right. Well, the reason why, you see, our new MP now, our usual MP, he's legging it along with loads of others, which is very unusual. Apparently, throughout the Western world, loads of MPs are legging it next election. Weird. And this new bloke's coming in, wants to make the borough, was it net zero or something? Zero carbon. So he wants to do away with all the people because
he wants to kill us all, right?
Yeah. So is he going to be first? Is he going to do Harry Carey? If Harry don't mind it?
If he's a good political leader, he should lead by example, right? So if he wants to have net zero, he should start by removing himself. I mean, that's effectively what they're asking us to do, and I'm not going to comply with that, at least not willingly.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's unbelievable, But what I've noticed here, Matt in Kingston. Now he's at Kingston in Great Britain, Kingston, Jamaica. I know a bloke whose wife went to Jamaica. She went willingly, didn't force her. Jamaica, sorry, terrible joke. Has anyone noticed the disgrace of our skies of late? Huge lines spread out in stripes and huge sheet of white, fake clouds above the natural fluffy ones. Yes, and have you noticed it starts off blue sky and sunny first thing in the morning when dawn, crack of dawn. Then you got loads of crisscrossings, and then about lunchtime, it becomes overcast. And it either piddles with rain or it just remains overcast. And the plants in my garden sort of look, they're not sort of vibrant. It's spring, hey, we're going into bud. It's all sort of.
Well, I always remember that when it got to Easter time, it was blue skies, red hot weather. Your Easter eggs were in the middle of melting. You'd see tulips and daffodils all over the place. It would be like summer, right? It compared to what we get now. And I've got to be honest. So since, especially in the last 10 years, we have had an immense amount of what I would only refer to as blanket clouds, in place of what should be naturally occurring blue skies and fluffy clouds. It's persistent now to the point where every 10th day there will allow us to have a day without being blasted by blanket clouds everywhere. And how people can not see the lines streaking across the sky and then spreading out and then turning the sky from a blue to then a milky white, which then goes to a dull polluted yellow color, and then just this dull grayish yellow. It's honestly, it's like being in Blade Runner or The Matrix when they blacked out the skies. I mean, they could be telling us something there. And it really does my head in. People are generally unhappy and moody and depressed. Well, yeah, we need serotonin and endorphins and all this talk about, apparently in Teesside and Tyneside, the rivers have burst their banks, which I can't remember the last time that happened. And I'm thinking, well, in order for that to happen, surely there should be rain. And we've had no more rain than usual. But do you know what tends to dry the rain up is the sunshine. So how about stop spraying it and covering it up and blocking it out, and perhaps, we'd be a bit happier. And all this stuff about, climate change, and as a how do we say, as a previous conspiracy theorist, because I don't go for theories anymore. This is a conspiracy, not a theory. These people are the ones creating man-made climate change and then saying that it's cows and all the chemicals. It's not. It's the stuff they're spraying. They're doing this. I'm in rant mode. I'm in preaching and rant mode.
It's got to be the rant mode. Excuse me, I don't think I'm talking over, but it was a nice day there. Yeah, one of very few nice days the other day. So I went out for a whiz on my bike. I'll call it a jolly. You go out for a jolly. And when I came back, I had a dry cough.
I thought you said
dry cough, and I've found that when I go for any exercise outside, I get a dry cough. That never used to happen. And it could be hay fever. I admit that because I do.
Could be. What about spots and headaches? Flu symptoms, not necessarily flu-like symptoms, but like blocked noses. I mean, that could be hay fever, to be fair, but especially spots,
sneezing,
sneezing. Yeah, but again, arguably that could be hay fever, maybe. But how can it not affect us? What they're doing is unnatural.
Also, the forsythia, I've got forsythia bushes at the top of my garden, and they normally come out at election time, which is May. They're out early. They're out now. It's just beginning to bloom now. It's not normally this early. It's normally a sort of middle to late April. Strange. But interesting. Yeah. Mr. Gardner says, we had clear blue skies first thing this morning. Same here, mate. Matt in Kingston, they started chemtrailing around lunchtime. Yes, that's right. Now we have grey, cloudy skies. And it's just hammered it down with rain here. I could hear the rain hitting against the window here. It's just been, and we've got Aunt Sally. Hello, Aunt Sally. Hey!
It's a fantastic little picture she's got there with the doll.
Isn't it?
An attractive doll, that actually. I kind of like that.
Yes. What was it? Uda Stubbs, wasn't it? She acted Aunt Sally. And funny enough, she was born just up the road to me. Wollongong City. Me and me and Buds, who's outside, eclipsing at the moment. Our bums are facing west. Not a pretty sight. Too much information here. As Rolf used to say from the BBC, sunrise. We're awaiting sunrise in the morning, didgeridoo time. We're awaiting him sunrise. And did you know that sunrise was not done on didgeridoo? It was done on violins because it didn't have any didgeridoos here. Seriously, you admitted it. You know that tune, Rolf Harris.
Oh, right. Mr. Creepy himself.
Yes, Mr. Creepy. Chris Garner says she looks like she's just discovered farts. Oh, that's that woman. Farts aren't supposed to. I don't feel like my chair laugh. Yes, there is a time in life when you discover that farts should not be lumpy, isn't there? And it's always at a time when you least want it, like at a meeting or sitting on a bus.
Meanwhile, the woman in front was like, "Oh yes, yes, that's." Oh yes, they are supposed to be lumpy. Yeah, right.
And,
I mean, what a pic! That is a classic. That to put on some political propaganda, isn't it? That's great. That. Wow. The aesthetics brigade are out steady.
Well, let's face it. It's good they give them work to a blind photographer, isn't it? I mean, did his guide dog bark the right? When it was right to aim the lens or something? I mean, is that a selfie? I don't know. But
I wouldn't like to say. I might get done for being aggressive and offensive if I'm not careful.
That's right.
Might get the Scottish authorities to come and arrest me for having a thought or something.
Well, I'm hoping to insult someone in Scotland so I could get some money because I could improve the bank balance. So so if anybody would like to be insulted from Scotland, please say, and then they can come and sorry, if they would like to insult me, then I can actually go to the police about it and do a sob story and get some money. That woman at the back, she just looks so indignant, doesn't she?
Yeah, what are they doing?
I say, have you just broken wind? Now it says here, Dan MC says this is the greatest eclipse since last time. Yes.
Well, I'm still waiting for the world to end. I mean, there's all these apocalyptic people saying, "Oh, whoa, doom is coming!" And I mean, they say it every single time. I don't know how many times the world's supposed to have ended in the last 1,000 years, but I think as humanity should have lost count by now.
Well, 717. It's supposed to send sort of nice thought waves around the world. And remember, we did discuss starting the show prematurely for about 5 minutes, and then starting at 8. But the trouble is, people would have tuned into that and thought, "Oh, that's a short show," and they wouldn't have bothered tuning in. I'd say that was not it.
Ouch.
That's right. And evening all, this is South Coast Rich. Apparently, high tides tonight here on the South Coast may be the highest since records began.
This is sinister. I mean, okay, so high tides, we've got rivers bursting their banks, and again, look, I mean, there's no more rain than usual. I mean, we've been hammered by airplanes, as we've already said, but the rain levels are no higher than they've always been, at least not as far as I can tell. I could do the good thunderstorm. I think that would do us a lot of good, but there you go. Yeah.
I like, actually, thunderstorms. I love the air after a thunderstorm. It's a beautiful smell. It's lovely, sort of, and a thunderstorm when you're on the coast. I mean, are you? I think you're close to the coast, aren't you, Teesside? I think you're.
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes in that direction. Yeah, so we're not very far from the coast.
I'm about 40 miles from the coast, but I don't know, South End on mud. Sorry, sea. Full of delightful people. Straight like this. Yeah. Rolf Saville. Right. This is the contrivance of consultation is something they have always used. This is allied to the variation of the bread and circuses paradigm. You're right on there, mate. You're absolutely spot on, because they're using, was it the Delphi technique a lot? And the Delphi technique is, what response, what the answer before it starts, and they split people up. And I know that Mark Windows is on about that quite a lot, the Delphi technique. He knows much more than I do about it. That we'll have to get him on here and ask him about that, you know. Oh, thanks, mate. It's much appreciated. There should be more likes. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a like as soon as I go on YouTube, but because otherwise it conflicts with the stream, so I've left it off for now. So
where's the trouble? I can't but you know, I can't go into YouTube. I'm actually on StreamYard at the moment. I reckon the bulk.
Leave this one on. Leave this one on because there's a lot to do with this actually.
Whoa! Now, I wish I would have taken a video, taken a copy of it. I reckon the bulk of knifings are state organised. Has anybody seen that video of that London train? Whereas a bloke's sort of sitting there and people sitting in the train, and you could see, you know, the exit where you get out the train. You could see this bloke with a knife going like this. Now, I don't know whether it was true or whether it was acted. Because I saw
a bit of both. It could be, you know, false flag, or are we even allowed to say that? You know, that's skull and crossbones, maybe, if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, surely, is it you that I was speaking to earlier when you were explaining about the train, about the fact that the people on the train were just stood there, or rather sat there watching it all unfold, not doing anything about it?
They weren't taking much notice. This girl, I don't know who she was. Oh, look, he's stabbing! Oh, and you got the seat sideways, and you got the exit, and there's this bloke with a knife going like this, so you couldn't see what that he guts and gore. I'm pleased to say, but you didn't see any blood. And I'm just wondering whether it was because there's a bloke sort of sitting looking out the windows as if it's an everyday occurrence. I was thinking, wow. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know. Perhaps it did actually happen. I just don't know. But I'm just seeing what I saw in my own eyes. I'm beginning to question it. You know, there's a lot of these things on YouTube. You think, looks a bit state sponsored. That does. Something not quite right.
So with regards to the knife crimes, okay, let's where we are, which is close to town. It's not in town, thank God. It's close enough out of town, but it's on one of the main roads into the, you know, the centre. And we get a lot of knifings around here anyway. Every 3 months somebody's getting stabbed, and you get the police coming around. But the amount of knife crime that we're seeing now is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, every day we're getting 2 or 3 reports in the area alone. And if anybody's familiar with the whole Archaic's Jason Brashear's YouTube channel and research and all of that, he's got a very, very interesting perspective on this one. And unfortunately, it appears that he's right. And that his theory is, as he would say, part of the second seal of apocalypse is about to be broken, and as part of that, there's going to be an outburst of knife crimes, you know, petty crime, and all these things where it's instigated by the state, blamed on the immigrants and let's say the Stars and Crescent Moon people, and that's going to create a public outcry, which will then have them removed, and then that will give them a cause for war against the West. It's a very interesting scenario. It's not a very pleasant one, and unfortunately, I think he might be right. And it certainly looks that way because the knife crimes at the minute have just exploded everywhere. There you go.
Right. It is odd, isn't it? You know, I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, well, you actually got pen knives for your birthday. Yeah. And you could buy Swiss Army knives in airports, Victorinox. You know, they were when you was at school, all the kids had a penknife. Never had any stuff. Yeah, glue was go and buy glue. You know, so nobody thought of sniffing it. Mind you, Queen Victoria was on the throne then, so I mean,
oh
dear. Getting on a bit. But it's just crime is going to get a lot worse. Wakey.
Yeah,
and Kat Holly has said the state. She's backed up what you've said. The state will make sure of it. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
here.
Just
Matt,
can I say a quick hello to Dave, a mate of mine in Leeds. He's a fantastic bloke, a very good friend of mine, and apparently he's in the chat. So hi, Dave. Hope you're all right, mate.
hello, Dave.
There you go.
So, we've got Matt in Kingston. To my eyes, the tech they are using to create these thick white sheets blocking the sun has accelerated, or they're using a different method. It's really stepped up, hasn't it? Yes, this is to Chris the gardener. Well, I'll tell you something. I remember the exact time when I first saw Chemtrails, and that was in 2009. And I was walking back from the local, well, it used to be a village shop before they got built up around here. But there used to be a little shop, which is about 7 or 8 minutes walk away from where I am. And I was walking along, and it's quite high up, and you can see down the sort of valley, and you sort of see up the other side before they built on it. And you could, and I saw all these lines. I thought, what on earth was it? And when I got home, my neighbour was looking up. He said, have you seen those lines? He said, it's strange, isn't it? And that was in 2009. I always remember that. So I don't know whether they happened before that, but do you remember the time when the sun was very, very burning that it isn't now? I mean, I remember driving back from the Lake District about 20 years ago, and my arm was sort of out the window and my car was driving along. It was really, and I had to, eventually I had to put, you know, that scarf I wear, what they call it, I use it every, there's a special name for them, I can't think what it is now. I actually had to put that up at the window because it was literally burning the side of my face with the window open. And this was, as I say, about 20 years ago. Shamag, that's it, because I use a shamag for everything. It's like one of those Middle Eastern scarves, and that's where it came in handy. But you know, because you got the screen, the shield that you put down, you know, sunshade in front, but I put it to the side and it wasn't enough. And I'll never forget that. I was coming down the M1 and it was getting, well, the sun was, I wouldn't say it's setting, but it was close to setting. And it was, even at that time in the evening, it was summertime, it was so hot. And it was like a oxyacetylene lamp on the side of my face. That's how it was burning. And I remember that, and you go out and it would actually really hurt. Now you can go out in the sun, it doesn't bother you. It's something weird.
Well, see, I'm one of those people. I enjoy the sun. I mean, I much prefer the heat than to the cold. And so it just seems to me that we've got two seasons now. We've got shit season, which is chemtrail season, and then we've got a very, very small summer, which is about a week in the middle of June. So it's not even it's not even proper summer, you know.
Well, it's like you know, my car gets MOT'd at the end of May, and I used to always been in shorts and hot t-shirt. Now in more like thermals, it's cold. Sorry, I didn't mean to step in.
No, it's difficult because the feedback loop shuts me up before I realise that I'm interrupting like too badly. But it just drives me up the wall because you know, Brits make a big thing about going on holiday to get the sun, sea, and sand and all of that. You'd think, therefore, then they'd be a little bit more astute at looking at the skies and thinking, well, why aren't we getting the summers? But of course, they turn on the BBC and it's climate change, right? Okay, but people have looked at them, especially. You know what's more bizarre is when they start drawing circles and figure eights in the sky, and they say, "Oh, that's just contrails." No, that's not how a contrail works. They still do contrail occasionally. But even that apparently is not what we're told it is. It's not a proper condensation trail. Even that was apparently imbued with chemicals. But I mean, you've got to love the gaslighting that goes on around it. I mean, you know, they don't call it chemtrail. There's no such thing. It's stratospheric aerosol injections or cloud seeding, as opposed to you know, streaking across the sky. I mean, they gaslight the shite out of all of us constantly. Yeah.
But I mean, I prefer heat. I could live in a Mediterranean climate easy. I love warm climates because sunshine, you can go to the poorest countries in the world and people have always got a smile for you. Because there's something about sunshine, it changes your whole mood, your whole thing. How people can live in a cold, overcast place, I'll never know. You know, people say, "Oh yes, I like the winter." Hmm? You know, I mean, I worked with an Egyptian bloke once who was over here because he liked the weather here. He didn't like it in Egypt; it's too hot for him.
Even in the winter months, I mean, I remember Christmas time when we used to have it could even be warm during the Christmas months. Well, the
Yes,
Christmas period, sorry. Clear blue skies, and you go to the market on Christmas Eve, and it would still be warm, and you could walk around with a jumper on, maybe not a t-shirt, but you'd still get the clear blue skies even then. But now it's just like I say, it's like 90% chemtrail and overcast blanket, and 10% you got lucky for a little while, or maybe they took a week off to refuel us. I don't know. It's crazy. It's always been a massive contention of mine since realizing what they were and what's really going on, and just how people. I don't know. It's like they can't see it. I can't get my head around why they can't see it and why they think it's such a bad thing to say. And oh god, no, I could rant about this.
I don't get it. I mean, when there was that lockdown first started, I've never known the weather to be so depressing.
Exactly. Well, at least not for a long time.
For a hell of a long time. And I mean, I planted tomato seedlings in 2 weeks ago, over 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks last Friday, and they're just. I was going to chuck them out because I thought they hadn't germinated, and I looked this morning and they're just starting to come up. 2 weeks. Normally, after a week, you see coming out. You know, it's quite a long time.
Do you know what? Actually, so just a quick comment there. So Chris the Gardener seems to know a lot about this as well. It seems to be an interest of his. How about we do a show in the future, just specifically looking at geoengineering and the ecology cycle, or what we used to be taught in schools as photosynthesis, and how that works, and how carbon is required for plants. Well, we breathe in the oxygen, kick out the carbon. The plants breathe in the carbon, kick out the oxygen. It's a symbiotic relationship between the two species. We can't live without each other, and yet they seem to have forgotten that now in the scientific community. What's going on with them?
I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah.
But when you was at school, we used to get these films by Brook Bonds Tea. They used to come round, bloke from Brook Bonds, and there's always the locust swarms of Africa. What's happened to locust swarms? And they didn't know why every 7 years a locust used to swarm. But the locusts don't swarm anymore, I don't think. You see all these crops being decimated by all these locusts.
I've got the answer for that.
What's that?
I know the answer. It's unfortunate. Mr. Billy at the gate, and he's been buying up all the locusts so he can sell us locust burgers and hamburgers and sorry.
That's it.
It's
Open a burger bar
for our benefit.
You have a burger bar there. You can catch them here. Do you want them fresh? Yeah, oh, lovely.
I'm going to skip Locust Day. Not a fan. See,
Yeah.
they see it as revenge. See, so they used to eat our crops, and so now we took revenge a couple of thousand years later and gone, nah, this is not. We're going to take revenge, and we're going to eat you now. So you like it.
There we got here. Was it Matt in Kingston says, I first noticed a change with their geoengineering last summer. Way behind on my sowing, other than potatoes, too wet. And Chris has come back saying, Matt in Kingston, it has got much worse of late. We spoke about it on last week's show. That's right. The last 6 months have been the wettest I've ever known. Totally engineered, in my opinion. Yes, I've never known it so wet. And we got here, Cat Holly says, you may be onto something there. There are more Manchurian candidates walking the streets than we know. Yes. And we got here, Matt in Kingston, I still can't get hold of a couple of tons of topsoil that I need to finish a job. Too wet, apparently, to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I mean, my plants need life jackets.
Miracle Grow.
That's it. Chris the Gardener, you're about right. That's right. Yes. Hat Cat Holly says whiteouts. That's right. But I'm wondering, do you get chemtrailing in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? If anybody's on board a ship, is anybody here I've been on the ship, have you noticed chemtrails when you're out in the sea? Is it only over land? Be interested to find out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know.
Again, I would suspect that they would, but only if the wind direction is going to push it in to where they need it to be. Perhaps I don't know.
Yes. You're right. And you're right. It says Matt in Kingston says, "Yep, agree, Chris. Every day starts out clear blue, then, but that's just right. By lunchtime, it's raining. I start work early to see these blue skies. Then the planes come. That's right. Yes, yes. It says here, hello, Hatchy Hatchy. Give Buds a tickle for me. Yeah, I think."
I like that.
Yes, with the weather. Yes, I think they are as well. So the Prime Minister, when he gets off his plane, he's really come to us, hasn't he? Anyway, spot on, Nathan. My thoughts exactly. I get so frustrated by it. No one else sees it, and the evil of covering God's face and energy source. Yes, that's right.
Actually, I've got something for that one as well. Actually, you know these you get a lot of Christians having a go at pagans and New Agers. And again, I'm not New Age. I'm not a Christian, but I do subscribe to the occult. I'll just put that aside, right? Yeah. And they say, oh, look at all these sun worshippers and all these the ancient sun worship. Yes, I am a sun worshipper actually, because try living without it and see how far you get. Just saying, it kind of is the god of this world, because without it, you don't have a world. It would freeze and die. It is the bringer of light and the bringer of life, and so you can't really do without it. And so, yeah, I do worship the sun. I enjoy the sun, and I'm not apologizing for it. So, sorry, Christians.
Yeah. No, but the thing is the sun is the Japanese flag, isn't it? It's the rising sun. Yeah. And that's right. And the Egyptians worship the sun. But we've got.
I mean, you've got the Persians. Good God, it goes. It's worldwide. Sorry, Dad. The next comment you're bringing up, that's me, mate. Sorry, Dave. I know I keep getting your comment taken off. I'm going to.
Yorkie Pud. The Yorkie Pud. That's right. It says could have done with a cloudy day in Leeds. Burn my bald head on Saturday. Nathan, you need to move from Borough and the ICI works. Yes.
Yeah, do you know what? I absolutely hate Teesside. I hate the urbanized part of Teesside. I like the wildlife of the moors and the hills and the forests that we've got in that direction. That's all beautiful. But if you go in the other direction, it's just a cesspit for miles. And ICI, to be fair, that does you see that pumping out constantly. I mean, I can see a massive view of the town from both sides of my house. And all over that side, it's industrial and horrible. And on the other side, we've got Middlesbrough town centre and a massive view of everything that way. But ICI doesn't help, Dave. To be fair, whatever the hell they're pumping in the sky.
Yeah. Well, we've got Southend down here, which is the cultural centre of the southeast, and there's a rumour. It's a conspiracy theory that you can actually smell the sea air on a Thursday afternoon when the burger bars are closed. But it's only a conspiracy theory that some people say you can. Yes, and the Kiss Me Quick acts, and all that. It's sort of like a poor version of Blackpool.
Oh, I don't know whether that's a possibility. Blackpool's a poor version of Blackpool.
Yeah. I think Southend is the obesity capital of the southeast. Cat Holly says,
you haven't seen our local hospital stuff. The picture of health, and they're all waddling around with their bloated.
Oh yes,
God, it's weird.
That's right there, Cat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just in case.
I agree with that.
Yes, I agree as well. It's Dan MC says. Oh, by the way, I got Ralph in. Evening, Ralph. Ralph Winter. Evening, folks.
Hello.
We got Dan MC's Smoggies.
Yeah, unfortunately. Really? Yeah, yes. Great title.
There says here, it's time to go. What Taylor? CB radio and underground in this modern time. Pitchforks are kept in stables. That's right. Well, have you heard of Meshtastic? There's a bloke who lives up the road to me in Hartford. He's on YouTube, Andy Kirby. And he said that there's this new thing which is similar to the internet, but the way I see it, I could be wrong. You buy this gizmo, it's about that big, for about 20 quid, and it works by radio signals, and it's not only a sender, but it's also an aerial as well. It's only about that high, the aerial, and apparently the way it works is, supposing, say I wanted to send you can't speak through it yet, but say I wanted to send a message to you. Well, its range is only about, I don't know, 5-10 miles. I could be wrong there, but it would bounce off of all the other people's aerials and find its way to you.
You could say that about the network. Yeah,
it's a sort of net.
No, go on.
But the way it works, you see, you have it on all the time. It's run by a 1.5 volt battery, and you keep it, in your bedroom or as high in the house as possible. So, say, be realistic. Say you wanted to send a message to someone 20 miles up the road, it would then sort of hop, skip, and jump from all different, and find the quickest way to that person, and they find the quickest way back to that person. And the more people that have them, that means you'd have to put all these big posts up and masts and that everywhere. It just works from this little tiny thing.
The only thing I would say to that is there any kind of is there any harmful frequencies bouncing off it? Because anything that you're sending through, like communication wise, if you're bouncing it off, I mean, there's going to be some negative impact on it. It's going to alterate your frequencies anyway. So I'm just wondering if it's.
No, it's about radio waves. It's old-fashioned radio waves it works on.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not. It's not. It's. I don't know much about it, but this bloke does, and he's given his mum's one, I think. So he said that if the internet went down, he'd still be able to communicate with each other. And if telephones went down, you'd still be able to communicate. But wouldn't the government block the radio signals? Yeah.
It's a curious one, because the idea of a world without the internet shouldn't be frightening. I mean, we grew up in a world without the internet. One thing that people tend to forget is that your phones are now internet based, and you don't have landlines. So presumably, if they disconnected the internet, your phones would follow shortly after, and so there'd be a communication blackout. Not completely, but it would be difficult. I think that they'd make it more difficult if they just flick the switch. That's how easy it is to turn the network off.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's what they'll do, because you see, every war starts with an outrage, and I think there's going to be an outrage soon, and people are stupid, because you think about it. First World War started with an outrage.
Yeah.
Also, was an outrage with the Lusitania, which got the Americans involved in the First World War.
Yeah.
And in the Second World War, it was Pearl Harbor, which was Roosevelt basically throttled Japanese industry, and well, I say throttled it. They couldn't hardly import anything, so he forced them into a war. And before he didn't. Germany declared war on America. So before Germany did, America was sinking German ships illegally and grabbing their assets, and actually stole German ships in American ports and put these crews into jail illegally. It's all against international law. So he forced Germany to declare war on America. So these people, I mean, are very clever at manipulating thoughts. And America, before Pearl Harbor, only 7% of Americans wanted to be involved in a war. That went the opposite way round after Pearl Harbor, and he basically forced it along. So so we're going to see something contrived, and I bet you'll see people falling over themselves, young blokes outside recruiting offices, keen to go and get killed in a war. I guarantee it. People
Positive propaganda, right?
That's right. Yes, that's it.
The thing is, I think I mentioned this to you. Sorry to cut you off, mate, but we mentioned this earlier, which is that basically the one thing these elites, whatever you want to call them, the one thing they are is psychopathic social engineers, right? That's what they're skilled at. That's what they're experts in. They're experts in psychology and manipulation. You know, when I mentioned about human nature to you earlier, and you know, there's a lot of debates over what human nature is. Well, it's very simple. Humans are animals. I don't care if that offends a religious, right? Humans are animals. We are. You know, look at the bone structure, the muscle structure, the blood. We're animals, and so human nature. One, we're animals, and two, we're programmable. We are highly programmable. That's it. And so, you know, the elites, the social engineers, have tapped into that, figured out how it works, how animals work, what you know, what our natural basic instincts are and our basic needs, and you know, credit to them actually because they're very intelligent and they've. I'm not giving them credit because I like them. I'm giving them credit because I admire their intellect. There you go. And they're very good at what they do. Yeah.
But the thing is, what I find very frightening, all of us are susceptible to a hive mind.
Yes.
And includes everybody.
Yeah.
And
hey, mate, I'd take it further than that and say we are all susceptible to manipulation. Not one of us is immune to this at all. And if we think we are, then that just more proof that we're deluding ourselves. You're in a state of delusion, and you know you need to go and do a little bit education or revision for your own benefit, really. So,
well, Danny Kaye, the actor, American actor, long dead, he died years ago, said people to people are generally very nice. But it's when they get in groups that you get the problems.
Oh, well, hence the title of our, I won't say too much, but hence the title of our show this evening. So, but yeah, group dynamics do tend to bring out the best in people, but then inevitably, and after not such a long time, it brings out the definite worst in people. And we certainly get to see archetypes, especially people. What I would say, you get the split between the psychopathic alphas who are trying to control and dominate, and then you get the subservient codependents, and it's all. I'm not saying everyone falls into one or the other. What I'm saying is there is a definite group dynamic where one side becomes the dominant and the other side becomes the submissive, and it's usually the ones that are caught in the middle of that particular paradigm that get the fallout and that get expelled and get ridiculed and demonized, and you know the ones that can't be controlled and fall into that's where the trouble starts. So I'll let you go with that one.
Well, the thing is, I think that let's call it the truth movement has been decimated without them realizing it.
Yeah,
and it's been very scaleful mind manipulation, and if you said this to them, they would deny it. When you look at it, and I've said this 1,000 times before, so the spiritual awakening was started by the secret services just after the First World War, because this country was on the verge of an uprising. This is in the UK here. Yeah. So what do they start? Oh, there's going to be a spiritual awakening. So people do sod all. So they just think, well, everything. I can feel everything moving at the great vibrations now. Bullshit. You know, I'm not upset with religious people or anything like that. There's a time and place. It's like everything else. And I think that it was so successful that in the 60s, the CIA started the hippie movement. And that was all spiritual awakening, love and peace and all things like that. And it's to pacify people down and stop an uprising, because when you look at America, it was like a powder plot. It really was in the 60s. There was civil rights, there was riots, there was loads of things going on. And remember, they're armed in America. So they had to do something to pacify the people down. The hippie movement was perfect. You know, I mean, I like a bloke who did a version. What is it? There's a German bloke. You know that all we are saying is give peace a chance. Well, he did one. All we are saying is give war a chance. I know, but really, this kind of hive mentality, yes, we are all susceptible, and this is the frightening thing. Look at the Japanese army. Now, the Japanese army were bloody ruthless, but you get a Japanese bloke on his own, he'd probably be a very nice person.
Exactly.
He gets into that atmosphere. I saw an interview once with an ex-Japanese soldier, and he said during the war he was talking about the atrocities, and he became very spiritual in that, and he witnessed lots of terrible things that the Japanese did, bayoneting pregnant women and things like that. And he said when you're in that atmosphere, people don't want to be seen as an outsider. And as I've always said, in group situations, you will get the orchestra conductor and the people are the orchestra. So regardless of what happens, nobody wants to be an outsider. So they'll do anything. And there was an experiment done in America where a bloke had a jowl. Students that volunteered to do it. I don't know if have you seen that. There was the Milgram experiment.
Milgram experiment,
where people. I won't go in. I've said this on years ago on another show, but it's incredible to watch. What they did, people at random, they would never be allowed to do this today, from a newspaper adverts. So they got a cross section of society, and they made out that they were doing experiments in this university to try and make people's memory better. And what they did is a person had to ask a question, and if a person got the answer wrong, they got a small electric shock. But what these people didn't know is it was rigged, because the person that got the electric shock was an actor, and he didn't really get an electric shock.
I didn't know that.
With the clipboard, wasn't really a doctor, they're actors. And to hype it up before it goes into another room, because they have to go into another room, you see, the person that gets the questions thrown at them. He says, I've got a slight heart condition. Will this make any difference? And the bloke with the white coat says, oh, no, it won't make any difference. You're perfectly safe. You're perfectly okay. And he goes into the other room. And what they didn't tell the chap who was asking the questions is they increase the voltage and the more questions that the other chap gets wrong. And the chap deliberately gets the answers wrong. And you're going, ah! And he says, please continue with the experiment. And there's other people going, I'm going to kill you. Perfectly okay. Please continue with the experiment.
Calm, collected. Yeah.
That's it. Eventually, the poor sod the other side, who isn't getting electric shocks, goes silent. I've killed him. Please continue with the experiment. And it's all sort of calm and collected. It's perfectly okay. And he said, and this fellow said, I can't stand any more of this. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Please continue asking the questions. And the percentage that went through to the end of the experiment is phenomenal. I think it was something like 90%. And after the Milgram experiment, they had an experiment they had to close. And it was a prison where they flicked a coin, and half the students were prison officers and half the students were prisoners. And it got so brutal, they had to stop it because the prison officers were getting more and more psychopathic. And it was
a Stanford prison experiment, I think, that one.
Was it? Is it Stanford prison?
I think it's a Stanford prison experiment, yeah.
It was horrendous. And it showed you how, as you said earlier, how close to animals we are.
Yeah.
It is quite frightening. And I believe that the entire movement, we say truth but loosely, has been ideologically, it's ideological, has just destroyed them without them even knowing it.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, I mean, this is something that I discuss a lot with a couple of friends of mine, which is that basically there is no truth movement anymore because, number one, a movement moves, and there's no movement, there's no active positive action or anything like that, and secondly, again, we seem to have fallen for every bloody psyop under the sun without realizing it until it's too late. And then, of course, you get we could go into this for hours, to be fair.
It's an interesting subject, but I think that also when a person puts themselves up as a leader, matriarch type, they can be the most coarse, vile person, but educated people will follow them because they don't want to be, it's self-preservation, because they don't want to be seen outside the wolf pack. They've got to be part of the wolf pack.
Shall I upload the slides that I did for you?
Yes, please. Yes.
I'll see if I can. Right, give me 2 minutes while I try and figure this
Well,
out.
while you're doing that, we've got here Chris the Gardener. I forgive me, Chris. I have sinned. Chris, I've got to correct you, mate. Forsyth usually flowers around now. Mine is already finished. Oh, goody. Can I claim that you've upset me? I want to cut £1,000. Sorry, joking. Can we move to Scotland? Yes, I'll stand corrected. Yes, because I always thought it was election time. Oh, well.
Yeah.
But false memory syndrome. Perhaps that's what I've got. Maybe it's false memory syndrome. Now, Matt in Kingston says, Kingston, southwest London, mate. The place where my memory stick comes from, is it? Kingston memory sticks. Bloody good though. Oh yeah.
Hey, they're good at creating RAM as well for your computers.
Yes, that's right. And also, you can put what's that? Linux or Linux, or whatever way you talk it. Put it on there, and if your hard disk on your computers had it, then you can plug this in and you can still start your computer because you can have Linux running on one of these, you see. So
interesting.
Learn something every day, yes, because I like Linux. But well, I like it because it's free and I'm a tight-fisted bastard, so there we go. Yeah, but now I said something on Facebook today. Now people say, well, I don't understand you on Facebook. Well, I'm on Facebook, but I only put things in my own group. I don't go outside my own group, except for when I promote this show. And I always feel emotional when I see steam engine, steam organ, the organs that you see at steam fairs, because I'm a bit of a steam engine fanatic. Sad, isn't it? Not choo-choo train.
Not really.
I'm talking about traction engines. That's the real. That separates the men from the boys. These bloody great Foden things that they used to use on farms. That type of thing. And if I see an organ, these fair organs, I get extremely emotional. And I was at a steam rally once, and I could find it difficult to hold the tears back. And there's a woman exactly the same. She said, "It's weird, isn't it?" I said, "I know." I said, I'm trying to make out it's hay fever, but I don't know what it is. And there's somebody else on Facebook that finds that and reckons that it could be something, because my grandfather was an engineer. So it might be something, my DNA from the past that's coming back. It's weird, isn't it? If anybody's got any reason, I don't know the reason why. I get tearful, but I can listen or watch a fair organ, but if I'm actually in a field looking at it, then I get emotional. Don't know why. It's really weird. I really haven't got the foggiest idea. Strange, don't know.
It could be something to do with the previous member of your family, and it's kind of something that's impacted on them. It's skipped a generation, and then suddenly it's kind of transferring through to yourself. I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, I'm a steam engine fanatic. I love them. I believe that this country went downhill when they got rid of steam engines. Not talking again, not choo-choo train steam engines. I'm talking about the bloody great things that you'd find, the Fred Dibner type. Although I can't stand it when they're on the road holding up queues and queues of traffic. They should be transported on lorries, not to go on their own. That's the thing. If they transported them on lorries, fine, but they're not fit for today's roads. They're too bloody slow.
Just a bit.
Yeah, but no, I've actually seen one of these. Was it Titan? Jet black it was, and it was made, I think, 1920s, and there was some tractors, all conventional. I won't say the name of the tractors, so I don't want to be fined by them. But they could not pull a tree stump up.
All
and
right. All right.
it's spinning. The wheels are spinning because I couldn't get a grip. This bloody great Titan came along. They've tied the chain around the tree trunk, just went boom, straight out. The strength of those things is incredible. Power they've got. You know, it's marvelous. I still think steam has a place in the world. I really do. I love steam. You know?
Steampunk, maybe. I don't know. It's a shame, but yeah, I think you might be out of luck with that one, unfortunately.
Yes, whenever you ever come back, they all work of art, though. You know, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, you've got something here. Shall I put it on the do flop?
Ah, there we go. There we go.
Colts.
So,
this is interesting.
Well, it's basically just I put this together in the couple of hours after chatting to you this morning. Well, it was this afternoon actually, to do with just pretty much what we were talking about there. So if I leave that on the screen, we'll go for that one. So cults and cult, but when I've said cults, what I've tried to do here is contrast it with movements and groups in general. But I didn't get that far, so this is kind of. I don't think I got that far. Let's have a look. No, didn't get that far. So it'll have to be for a later one. But I'll leave these on for now. But you kind of get the idea. So, do you want me to read through it and see what?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay. So let's go. So cult or group. So in this case, we could use certain, let's say, truther gatherings in green areas, perhaps, to demonstrate our point. So what would eventually happen, or at least in the places that I've been, more often than not, is that you'll get I've put it down as an alpha here. So like a strong character that is intent on taking control, right? So predominantly male with a largely female following, or if not female, then a large amount of feminine energy. Let's say, okay. Male leader is always narcissistic and more often than not psychopathic. The cult or the group would require people who are predisposed to being a codependent and therefore submissive and easy to control, looking for a leader, looking for somebody to direct and take control, often because they lack the ability to focus and organize themselves in a coherent manner. The cult leader is not to be criticized, but is highly critical of others. So, for example, they are always right, but nothing that anybody else says is as it's they tend to put themselves pedestalizing. They put themselves above everyone else. So beyond question and reproach. So don't dare question them, because how dare you? Who are you? The little pleb, the one that's doesn't have the experiences and the knowledge of this particular leader or director, if you want to call it that. Cult leader claims to have special, unique knowledge, experience, and abilities. So in effect, they've got a superiority complex. Often controlling, abusive personality, lacking empathy and compassion. So I don't know about you, mate. Well, I do know about you because we've discussed this, but we've both come up against this dynamic in several group situations. Special rules and exceptions for the leader. I think I've done that one twice, I think. And generally, it's a case of high-profile attention seeking. So it's almost like they have the desire to be the sunshine. If they are. I'm trying to pick my words carefully here, but again, I'm going to go pedestalizing again. Okay, so. And often demands submissive dedication from members. So again, I think we can both certainly relate to this in a number of group situations and scenarios. Not all. I will say that they don't all fall prey to this, or at least not completely. Cults or group behavior in general. So again, this is when the water's settled and they've got past the whole let's get to know each other stage. So that's got to take place first. But when the dust starts to settle, you kind of see who's who and what's what. Then you start to see the people with the agendas taking charge, and the people who are the, let's say, cult members or followers will tag along. But then, of course, there's those in the middle that'll see what's going on and they'll either say, no, thanks, this isn't for me, and they will eject themselves, or they'll make enough of a noise to say, whoa, what's going on here? I can see now what's going on. I almost fell for it. I don't agree with it. And so then they'll be excluded. They will be expelled from the group as opposed to leaving of their own accord. So you've got what would then be left essentially is a cult scenario. So then they'd start taking you off to specific locations, or they'd try and isolate you in small pockets. Okay, so in order for that to happen, you would need your cult members or your group members who are submissive to the cult leader. They would claim to be special or chosen, but not quite as special as the leader, because obviously they're very special and unique. Their actions and thoughts and behaviors would be restricted. So if somebody said something that the leader didn't find agreeable, they would be mocked, or they would be questioned in a way that, what, you really think that? I don't think so. I don't think you're thinking that one through properly. Or, well, from my perspective, I think you're wrong. But it's never a compromise. It's always it's black or white. It's binary
right.
thinking, if you wish.
And also one word or this, you're a this, you're a that.
Yeah.
You are then pigeonholed into this sort of nasty, evil thing.
Often, I think it would apply in your
the
case as well.
Is that? Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
if somebody is, I don't know, this person's a liar, you will be accused of being a liar. If the person's you will be accused of what they do.
It's what I call inversion and deflection. So they deflect it back to you, and then they're inverting it. And in essence, it's gaslighting. They're gaslighting you, but from a different perspective. They're basically accusing you of being what they are, because I think they clock the fact that you've figured them out, and so then they've got to make you the target quickly, so as to take the heat off them. In effect, what else did you say just before that? There was something else that you hit on as well, and that was very, very.
Well, they'll accuse you of what they are, of what they do.
No, there's something before that. I don't remember what it was.
I can't remember now. What was it now? Well, about, as I look on them, I call them conductors, because they conduct everybody with the highest mind.
Again, orchestrating, so that using you as the orchestra to conduct it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, we're all against you. We're against you. That's the thing, and people don't want to be an outsider, so they go along with it. It's a kind of self-preservation.
Yes, I'll tell you another one actually that comes into this. This is what what I was picking up on, is that a lot of the times when they tell you that you're this or that or the other, or you should, I'm not being funny, but they take a very quick observation of you, and then suddenly they're the experts on you, and it's like, well, actually, a lot of your observations are wrong. You've misread people, but you claim to be an expert on judging, and you're not. In most cases, they get a few things right, take it out of context, and then the next thing, you are now this persona, this character that's not actually accurate, but is now ejected by the group leader and its adherents or its codependence, if you like, and suddenly, whether you are that or not, you are. They've deemed you to be that. So, for example, I'll give you an example from what I get a lot. Okay, so I get, oh, you're paranoid. Well, I'm not being funny, but take a look at the world around you. Who isn't these days? Anybody who can see what's going on. Yeah, that it's probably because you were paranoid, and that alerted you to a lot of the problems in the first place. So I get accused of being paranoid, but then suddenly they make you out as if you're this this guy who's constantly looking over your shoulder, and oh my God, it's all about me. They're all targeted. No, not quite that paranoid. No, questioning, aware, awake, looking around and trying to figure things out. Absolutely. Skeptical, suspicious. Yeah. But then they zone in on you as if you're this nutter, and it's completely taken out of context. And of course, then other people listen to that and they think, oh yeah, he is. Yeah, we should step away from that because he's a bit mad. Okay then. But that's just an example. I mean, I'm sure that. Well, I know that you've been through similar experiences.
Well, I actually went to, this was all about a year ago, soon after I left one, and it's about 30 miles away from my house. I was up sort of in this area. What was I doing there? Oh yeah, I think I went to a place to buy something that was open on a Sunday. I thought, oh, I'll pop in, see what this, this group is like. And when I went there, as I say, it's a long way from my house. You could have cut the air with a knife. And sort of went there. I went, oh, hello, and smiled. And I try and make people happy, and and I noticed a lot of them no sense of humour whatsoever. You tell a gag, and they go as if it's pain. Go, oh.
Yeah,
Or
you think that's funny? Yeah. Well, yeah.
then the matriarch will kill the punchline deliberately.
Yes.
With something crude, which everybody laughs at. So,
Yeah.
To me, there's a golden rule: you never kill a person's punchline. Someone's telling a gag, you could have heard it 1,000 times. You hold back and you laugh heartedly, even though you heard it loads of times, because you want to create happiness amongst people. And anyway, I went.
Mark of respect.
Well, that's right. And I went to this place, and it was in the middle of nowhere, and a nice day, and somebody was getting was being sent to Coventry for some unknown reason. I don't know what had happened there. I really don't know. I didn't really care. And I was standing there. Oh, you don't want to speak? Oh, he's coming here. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Yeah.
What's going on? And this poor sod was sort of standing there. So I went over. I went, oh, hello, and started talking to him. Because of that, oh my godfathers, what an evil man talking to another evil person. And that was the last time. That was the first and the last time I ever went there.
So effectively, people are being shunned, aren't they? I mean, that's a shunning. That's again, it's another cult tactic: is to shun those who are not on your page or who are not exactly aligned to your ideologies and beliefs. And it's sinister. And we do see it. I have seen that quite a lot, actually.
Well, I gave a football out to one of the people, and they screwed it up and just rammed it into my pocket, and walked off.
Wow.
Now, there's nothing really offensive on that.
Well, unless you're the person on the bob.
Yeah, that's it. And it's as if humour was frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
But that they were worshipping a little Tommy Tucker in Luton and that type of thing. And I was thinking, yeah, the brainwashing brigade have done a very good job of destroying this. But as I say, it was a long way away from my home, and I wouldn't normally go there. It's just because I had to go to this shop to get something. I thought, well, I might as well pop in there whilst I'm The shop opened at 10, and I went there, and about 10:30, I thought, oh, just, whilst I'm up this way, I might as well go in there.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did, because it really educated me, that it showed me of how the Secret Service, or whoever, the shall we say, the social engineers, have managed to, where they used to actually physically have to go in and destroy organizations that from within, how they've done it from without. It's very clever what they've done. And what it is, it's constant depression all the time, constant negativity.
It's the doom brigade, isn't it? It's doom.
Yeah, and then me coming out with gags, they looked as if, they looked as if they'd been touched up. They didn't know whether to grin or not. So, and but it's partly because there was a nasty feeling there, because somebody had done something wrong which they didn't like. I don't know what had happened. I couldn't give a shit, really, because I judge people from as I meet them, not what somebody else has told me, because I'm getting a second-hand information. So I thought, oh, it's poor sod standing on his own. No one's talking to him. Someone else talk to him. So
did you get the should and shouldn't treatment, that you should be doing this and you shouldn't do that, and you should constantly?
Yes.
Generally, in fact, no, not generally. Most of the time, the shoulds and shouldn'ts came from people who A, didn't have a clue about me, they only presumed to, and B, actually, they were in no position to tell anybody in the group what they should and shouldn't be doing, because their position is the whole analogy of people in glass houses really shouldn't be throwing stones, just in line with that.
Well, I think what often happens is, I think that my grandfather's words, I think Danny Kaye's words were quite right. people to people are very nice, but when they get into groups, that's when there's the problem.
Mm.
Very, very true words. But my grandfather said, trust nobody until they've proven their loyalty to you. And he was 100% correct. And my other grandfather on my mother's side said, watch out for the infiltrators. He always said that because he noticed in the 1920s and 30s the Labour Party being infiltrated. But in those days, it was someone actually going in. But I think what's happening is you've got these people that are, shall we say, false flag people, false truth. We've got a lot of that on the internet now, where doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom all the time. There's a certain station that I will not say what it is, but you can tune into, and you get manic depression by watching it. Oh, things are so bad.
I think I could make a few guesses.
Yeah, I mean, but I like though is the positives. Like for example, putting bat boxes up with this ULEZ areas in front of them. Anyway, we're helping conservation. It's very good because I believe it's like with ideological subversion. If you've got a fist coming towards you, the most stupidest thing you can do, even a heavyweight boxer will tell you this, or Muhammad Ali would, is to try and stop it. No, you don't. You carry it on. You help it along, and you smash it into the wall. And it's like Paul English said. He said, if you go to an airport and they want you to, have see-through bags and take your shoes off and this, that, and the other, why should you trust the security people? We want to see evidence that they've had an anal probe to see that they're not holding any weapons up their backside. So we want evidence of that before they start to go towards it. Because why should we trust them? Because they've got a uniform on. So you help the system along by actually going further with it. So you kind of
it could be a useful tactic, actually. That definitely.
Because I mean, I've actually thought of an idea with the local councils. Now you sit in the gallery, and you're not allowed to speak. You just have to watch, especially at planning meetings. Well, there's one bloke. He's got a farting machine, and he puts it up his sleeve. It's like a piece of tubing and a sort of a squidgy thing. And it's like a wet fart, you see. So if we all sit there and just sort of after they've said something you disagree with, they can't shoot you out for farting because there's nobody in the rule book. So they say you're being disorderly. Why? And also, how do they know who's done it? And you can sort of
that's discrimination if they say anything about that. Right. You could take that.
Confidence.
Do you know, actually, there is a little fart. There used to be a YouTube channel a couple of years back. I don't know whether it's still there. And it was called The Pooter. And it's just a little thing like that you're describing there. And you go around the supermarket, you just press your little button. And it's, and different ones. And so just to get a reaction, I don't know whether it's still up there, but it used to be called The Pooter.
There's Mr. Methane as well. Mr. Methane goes up to people. And I was going to say tonight, I was trying to find there's a scene where he goes up to a car and he actually goes like this and runs off. And that's what I'd like to do with MPs. But you think about it, it would be a protest if you went to the council, if everybody had one of those things, you just whenever you disagree with it, you just made this fart sound. What can they do? And we can all, it said everybody in hysterics, people will be laughing their heads off. People in the council will probably see it sitting there go, we're just taking a mickey out of them all the time.
I don't know. So they're very straight laced, though, aren't they? The councillors and. Is it?
But that makes it even more funny, doesn't it? I mean, all you need is a piece of tubing and this air thing. You put it up your arm and you have it in your hand and just sit there and you go. and you can have all your mates all sitting around a gallery doing it. So if you don't like something, you just do the fart sound. And then people be sitting there. And how can they say, you get out? Well, I'm saying anything. I'm just sitting here quietly. What's wrong? Because it's not coming out your mouth. It's coming somewhere.
Oh, but you've been disruptive, Eric. That's the problem, isn't it?
If I could get a few people together, I feel like doing that down a local council. Just sitting there and
I'll wait for the headlines.
Man ejected from council for breaking wind.
Repeatedly.
joking, folks. I wouldn't really do it.
He's not.
I don't know to do it, you know. But we dream of these things, you know.
I can totally see you doing that.
Yeah, funny though, wouldn't it? Yeah, because there's a chap. It sounds. Shall we say? Sounds really loud and really disgusting. But again, how would they know? Because it could be anybody in the crowd, couldn't it?
Well, it could be. I mean, you know, they couldn't. If they search your person, then that's it's a violation, really. I think.
That's right.
Yeah,
Well,
there you go.
They can't tip me out with breaking wind.
I bet they could. Yeah.
But
shall I proceed with this, and then we'll go to chat?
Yeah, right. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So again, back to in line with what we're just saying there. Again, cult dynamics or exclusive group dynamics. You know, dismissive of non-members. We've gone through that very clearly, actually. A culture of sex, drugs, and music as a method to bring people in, or as a method of, let's say, coaxing in some people who are desperate or they can take advantage of. And then obviously, if you're bringing that into the equation, that also gives you a tool of leverage. You can then manipulate them if you can get something on them, especially with sex, drugs, and music. Well, not so much with the music in this instance, but you know, I'm sure the other two can give people plenty of leverage in a group situation where you can say, well, behave yourself, or, you know, this will happen anyway. Toxic positivity. We've discussed that one frequently in the previous one, which is basically people who think they're spiritual, and you have to be in a constant state of high vibration. You're not allowed to be negative. You're not allowed to be depressed. You're not allowed to have any kind of deviation of thought that might perhaps bring down the feel. Although everyone in there is talking and doom saying, you know, it's always doom, but you're not allowed to be depressed about it. It's always negative, but you mustn't call it negative because that's negative. Good God. Another one, brainwashing and then reprogramming, but that's definitely a big cult one. Often appeals to naive, gullible, and I would say, again, without sounding horrible, to somebody desperate to find their tribe, and who is willing to forego some of their principles in order to join a collective of people who they consider to be like-minded. Again, that can be taken advantage of. The low education thing. Now, when I put that in, I'm thinking, I don't agree with that one myself, actually. But what I mean by that is sometimes ill-informed as opposed to uninformed. Maybe subscribing to the wrong information or beliefs, for example. Lacking in discernment, so unable to figure things out for yourself, to be objective as opposed to subjective. And a lot of the people that are codependents to these group cult leaders, and let's not forget their lieutenants as well, because the cult leaders like their lieutenants.
Yes,
they're enforcers and they're flying monkeys. You know, I mean, let's not forget that particular dynamic.
Oh, the flying monkeys, yes.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I tell you what, when that kicks off, when the flying monkeys kick off, it gets nasty. I mean, that's when you really see the enlightenment in the group, or rather lack of, because as soon as flying monkeys come into the equation, you're not allowed to speak to that person, and this person said that, and look at what they've been doing, and my God, the damage that does to people. And they don't care if these people are enlightened and compassionate beings that they claim to be. They wouldn't be doing that at all, would they?
Well, that's it. I mean, I judge a person from meeting that person, not what other people tell me about them. That's the thing, and the fickleness is unbelievable.
Absolutely.
A friend one moment, your worst enemy the next.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
And often it's something that you're not even aware that you've done or said. Something, some offhanded comment that's not even serious or deliberate. You know.
Well, that one that I went to, that was a long way from my house, where there's somebody being sent to Coventry there, and I was sent to Coventry because I spoke to that person. I've never been back since. It was the first and last time I went there.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I went, because I learned a lot more, because situations like that give you wisdom. And then I went to another one, which was nice actually. But the trouble is, both of them were so far away from, well, one I wouldn't want to go to, and the other one so far from my house. I don't really want to drive for about an hour on a Sunday morning to go there. I'm not a group type person anyway. So, I mean, I only went to the place because I was up with this shop that was there. So, you know, that's why I went there. But, you know, I don't really like groups because I think that, again, what Danny Kaye said, people to people are very nice, but when they get into groups, that's when the trouble starts. But also the worship of false idols, i.e. Trump and little Tommy Tucker from, you know, the shall we say, the chap from Luton, who's obviously an agent of a country we're not allowed to criticise.
Yes, absolutely. The thug of the UK, who isn't from the UK, and certainly didn't represent the UK. But let's not accuse. And what about the brand of Russell? You know, special brand of Russell. You know, look, if these people that they're worshipping, if they're actually genuinely putting out good information that's going to lead to something productive, shill or not, good or bad, you know, let them get the information out. But then the problem with that is they tend to get you hooked, and then they start misleading you. And so this is why I say it's fine. Listen to these people, follow these people, do what you got to do. If that's where your interests lie, or if you genuinely drawn to these people through their, you know, character or whatever draws you to them, fine, but at least have the tools of discernment to not fall for it, to be able to say, right, okay, I'm not going down that avenue with them. You know, I listen, I can, as I'm sure you can, and I'm sure that the people listening can, I can tune in and listen to beliefs, ideas, ideologies, opinions, all of that, without subscribing to them. I can take all of that from a distance and learn from it. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to believe in it. I don't, you know, I could be completely opposed to it. Well, then all the more reason for looking into it, because then we can see things from other perspectives. So I've got no problem with that, but just be on your guard, be open-minded, but be guarded, you know, head in the clouds, but feet firmly in the ground, I guess.
I've changed a lot over the last couple of years. And what my grandfathers said, it was very, very wise. But now, as I say, I avoid groups, but if I'm in a group situation, I keep that close, stum. I don't trust anybody, and I'm looking for potential. I'm looking who could be my potential enemy. And I don't say too much about myself. I don't say much about private life or anything like that. I just keep very quiet. And as I say, the second one I went to, which was a long way away from my home, fantastic atmosphere. I was cracking gags, we was laughing and joking, and it really was nice. But the trouble is, I don't particularly want to drive for an hour every Sunday morning, you know. No, but
once in a while, I guess. I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, I might turn up once in a while, but even then, I'm a very different person. I'm now guarded, and I don't trust. I'm more distrusting than I used to be. In fact, I was naively distrusting. I'm not naively trusting anymore. I don't think so. It's for other people to judge. I keep that stum, and I just, you know, and I think it's a sad situation in many ways. But again, I realise I'm not a group type person, so that's why I keep away from groups. I'm more of a one-to-one type person. That's it, really. But I think also these false idols, like for example, that woman, what's her name now? I can't think of her name. She was on The Apprentice, and
hang on, I've met her. I know you're on about.
Oh, it's the one that
2 minutes.
She tells people what they want to hear.
Yeah. Oh, bloody hell! I've actually met her. I gave her a hug a couple of through Maureen in Truth Seekers Northeast. She put her on for a do, and I've completely forgotten her name.
I've completely forgotten her name. But
right, come on, chat. You know we're on about. She was on The Apprentice. Very loudly spoken. She's a comedian.
I'm very special because my attitude: if someone gets on the mainstream, no. Little Tommy Tucker is always on the mainstream. These people come from the mainstream. I don't really. I'm very suspicious. But
again, yeah. I mean, it's okay to, I'm not saying that people shouldn't like who they like and listen to who they're listening to. That's not my business. I'm against censorship, not for it. Hence, if that's your cup of tea, fine, but at least have the tools to know when you're being lied to or misdirected, or when you're being asked to go against your morals or your ethics, and just have a little bit of common sense. I mean, I know that's an endangered superpower at the minute, but be aware, be present of how it works, and also more than that, be present of how I mean, you mentioned there that you're guarded now, so that's a
Very.
lesson that you've had to learn. It's a lesson that I
Mm.
arguably still have to learn, because sometimes you go in
Very
with enthusiasm and you come out
That's right.
bruised,
A
effectively.
people pleaser. It's wrong to be a people pleaser. I used to be a people pleaser. Now I'm not a people pleaser. I'm very distrusting, extremely distrusting.
Mm.
And if
Yeah.
someone wants to sell me something on the side I don't want to know, my attitude is, if you're going to tell me something secretively, I want at least 3 people around. I don't want, if I don't know a person properly, unless I've known that person for years, then no. And I think that that's as I say, in a group situation. And I think also you've got to, every bad thing that happens to you, I think, gives you wisdom, and it's a lesson
Yeah,
to you to make you
painful.
wise. Yes, but I think that what I do believe is there's a doctor. He was interviewed by Tucker Carlson. I can't think of his name,
Yeah.
and he's written a book on it. And he said what's happening is the controlled opposition or the government, with this constantly doom and gloom and that, it's got to our frontal lobe and hippocampus at the back, and it's affected people. So people think they're a part of the truth movement or anything like that. No, they're being brainwashed, and it's
I
may
agree.
causing depression. It's
Yeah.
causing aggression, loads
Yes.
of pent up aggression. And I've noticed this, a lot of pent up aggression. That first, that one that was about 30 miles away from my house, I could sense the aggression there. The other lot I went to, it wasn't so much, but I still sensed it a little bit. There was a matriarch there who, was sort of, I was thinking, but it was a better atmosphere. Don't get me wrong. It was a far better atmosphere. But I think that there is something happening. That's why, look at what's happened to the yellow vests. What's happened to them in France? I think that's how they've been decimated.
I think
They
they're
can actually
still.
do
I think they're still there. I just obviously the attention, the spotlight's been taken away from them, because there's been that many other upheavals lately that it's kind of they're being overshadowed. But I don't know. I mean, I hope they're still in full swing, but I don't hear anything about them either. But yeah, you're right. Actually, just when you mentioned there about the scientist that you're mentioning about. This is
Mhm.
what I would call a typical stand down operation, right? So if you are being stood down, that's a psyop, right? There is a psyop being
Mhm.
used against you. If
For
you're
sure.
being thwarted from doing something against the current paradigm or whatever it is, then if somebody's trying to stop you from taking action, if somebody's trying to stop you from attending protests, if somebody's trying to stop you from publishing your stuff or going online or where, I would question their motives. Why are they trying to stop you? I mean, surely everyone should be now doing something productive. I
I
would argue
agree.
more than one thing. But
Mm.
if you're being told not to do these things, that to me says somebody is perhaps again, controlled opposition. That's a good word. Infiltrator, I think, would certainly hit the mark. But then again, I get accused of being paranoid for man. I've looked people in the face and said,
I don't think they have to have. Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to talk across you, but I
no,
don't think they
carry on,
need
mate.
to have physical infiltrators anymore. I think they can do it by the
Mm.
media, because what I have noticed, and that is the people that watch the television seem to be very brainwashed.
It had
Oi!
to happen eventually. So I was wondering when.
It's the klaxons going off at YouTube, but
Uh-oh.
the
Oh,
ones that
you've done it now.
I don't watch television at all. Now, I'm wondering whether there's signals or something they're putting out.
Mm.
It's like GB News. Now, to me, GB News is controlled opposition. They
Absolutely
tell
agree
you
with you on
some things and not others, because it's never anything constructive or
that. Yes.
practical. It's always terrible. Always is awful, and it's telling you what the negative sides of the immigrants are doing. Look what's happening here. Look, these gun crimes, this crime, that crime. Yes, it's going on. How much is government behind it? which is true what Kat says. And I think that person has a very good theory about they want to create problems between Christians and the other people.
The stars and the crescent moon people.
Yes. Yes. They're doing that all the time because, let's face it, it's the old way that empires will run. You start trouble between the natives, and then the natives are not noticing what you're doing by taking them over and destroying them.
It's that's about as old as it gets where history is concerned. I mean, John Hamer could tell us all about this, especially in his book. I mean, I'm reading his Behind the Curtain book at the minute, and he's covered this. And it's a theme that comes up again and again and again. If you want to undermine a country before taking it over, these are your tactics. I mean, obviously, finance is a big player in that, but these are some good tactics that they use. Works every time.
Right. So, and I tell you what gets me, what they do most of the time is, well, for example, I've got to be careful what I say now. After World War II, people started to question some of the narratives.
Yes. Yeah.
And this group of people that started to question things went on, but they've been since after 1945 fighting against themselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've been set to be a scapegoat, if pun intended. I think, I'm trying to be careful.
I think I've been very lightly. I've been very careful here. I'm not being political. Well, trying not to be political. I'm talking like a fly on the wall that's watching. There's all these different. And what will happen? There'll be an extremist group that will be government run, and they are used as like a spotlights put on them to show people. Say, isn't that lot disgusting? Look, isn't it awful what they're doing?
Yeah.
And it's. I mean, I was very well. I learned a lot from a chap who was West Indian, second generation or third generation. His father came over from the West Indies after the First World War. So his grandfather did. His father was in the RAF during the war. He's a navigator. And he was born here, and his father was born here. And he went to the National Front meetings.
Right.
And we all, this was when I was at college, and we all started laughing. They said, we thought he was joking. And he said, no, I'm serious. He said, because the image you see on the television is completely different to the people I meet.
Well, and they do this to perfection as well. They give you the wrong impression of certain groups associated with ideologies, and it's not necessarily the truth. It's the truth that they want you to see. Katie Hopkins, thank you.
Thanks, Treve and Saving Truth Seeker. Nigel Farage, Russell Brand, Tommy, yes, and all agents, yes, I 100% agree with you there. Katie Hopkins, that's right, yes, I don't. It tells people what they want to hear. Yeah. But it's and they're getting, I think, the truth, so-called truth movement, fighting against each other.
I would say that was achieved. I would say the outcome of that is already complete. No, the truth. But where is the truth, man? I mean, we've done this in the past. We've already turned on each other, and this was what within the second year of all this kicking off in recent. I'm not on about. Let's take it to very modern times and periods. All the groups that I know are either slowly disintegrating or have completely dissolved, and it's sad because it doesn't matter if you've got different opinions or beliefs. It doesn't matter. You should still be able to come together and join. No, it's very, very sad.
It is, but you know why the government wants you to form groups? Because they say this community, that community, this community, their community. Why do you have to be part of a? You see, the community is like, to me, it's a tribe, but it forms naturally. If it forms naturally, generally everybody gets on, generally, without any external, shall we say, brainwashing.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's put it this way: if we was all dumped in the middle of the jungle or something, we had to survive, we probably would, without any, because there wouldn't be any brainwashing. We'd all probably get on really well, because. But then you get a load of people together and you get the external brainwashing, then you get the problems. And by the way, it wasn't Stephen who was the first one that came up with it. I think it was Krista Gardner.
There you go.
And then we got
everyone apart from the people that are, thank you.
It says here, I hate Katie Hopkins. Well, move up to the other side of the plate then. That's all you have to do.
I'll tell you something though. She is funny.
Yes, yes. I couldn't eat a whole Katie Hopkins. I admit. So we're not a cannibal, are we?
I don't know. There's certain parts that may be edible. I think.
Yes,
I couldn't possibly comment further, but certainly some nice attributes there.
And by the way, if I'm not on next week, I'll be in a jail in Scotland. So there we go.
Oh God, I hope we offended this time. Oh wait, I like offending.
We're joking. We're not cannibals. But
so what else have we got in the chat then? Let's
right. Let's have a quick, I don't know. Oh, by the way, Mark Anthony, I've been using Linux or Linux. It depends on if you're posh, you say Linux. If you're a bit common like I am, you say Linux. For years, Chris. So it's far superior to Windows, in my opinion. I 100% agree with you. It's brilliant. The only downside is you're a bit limited with the software. But what I like, before it updates, it just says, would you like to be updated now? And the other thing, you don't need any virus protection because it can't get viruses. Because it's open source. And if some arsehole puts a virus on it, it's zapped almost immediately. So they're wasting their time. Because Microsoft,
to be fair, I think the people who release the viruses are generally the people who release the virus software, because then they create the problem and they're there with the handy solution on hand as soon as, so let's face it, again, it's the same old tactics.
You're right. By the way, no New Zealand sheep jokes, please, because it's Stig in New Zealand. So, morning all. Hello, Stig. Morning. And, well, you're a day ahead of us, aren't you? I think in New Zealand, yes. So you're Tuesday. And we're Monday still, so there we are. We're a bit behind in this country.
Are you saying that we're slow? Are you saying that
the CB radio is a good shout. A battery pack and a solar panel. I've tried to tell my local truth movement four of us. Wow. Yeah, get local. Yes, I agree. If you whittle it down just a couple of you, it's just fine. I really do. I think 4 or 5 just right. It really is.
Yeah.
This is Dobby's sock. Hi everyone. Well, you heard about the couple.
Interesting name. I like that.
Well, Dobby's sock. You heard about the couple where now if I can remember this, I might balls this one up because I haven't pre-planned. Yes, off the cuff. This one is. A woman had this terrible chronic breath problem because halitosis doesn't exist. It was actually made up by mouthwash people. Seriously.
I've noticed this with toothpaste since I stopped using the fluoride based mainstream toothpaste and all that. My breath doesn't smell, and every day you'd get this weird taste. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, sorry, I've just ruined that. Sorry, apologies.
Well, actually, I have. What's they called? You can have Kingfisher and things like that, but I don't have fluoridated toothpaste. But no, it's actually I think it was in the 30s. A company which will remain nameless made some floor cleaner, and it wasn't a bit shitty. It wasn't that good. So they discovered the chemists thought they could use it as a mouthwash. So they thought, well, who's going to wash their mouths out with it? So they invented halitosis. Wow. And they put adverts out. Have you got halitosis? So anyway, this one.
How did it go again? I missed that one.
No, well, you then you sort of gargle with his bleeding floor polish or whatever it is, floor cleaner. But anyway, there's a woman who got terrible bad breath, you see, and she falls in love with a man that's got very smelly feet, and and before they meet, she's gargling with a floor polish and Ajax and Christ knows what, he's washing his feet in. Hello, darling. Please excuse me for a few moments. And she goes away, gargles with some more mouthwash. And he's quickly, baby wipes, quickly wipes his feet round. Anyway, it gets to the point where they're getting a bit, bit close and a bit intimate. And he thinks, well, and she thinks as well that they better tell each other their secret, you see. And she says, "Darling, I've got something to tell you that's very intimate, and I've been trying to tell you all along." He says, "You don't have to tell me now, darling, because I know that you've just chewed one of my socks." That's a terrible one.
Do you know what you need, right? So for your gags and your jokes, you need somebody to draw you some cartoons to go with it. Some like like an animation to go with it to as it's. I think that'd be fantastic, actually.
Well, I'm sorry about the sound on the gag. Today's gag was horrendously awful, and the reason why
there was a bit of a background interference.
Yeah, and what it was is that's a computer I use for CAD, and it's not really for sort of it's downstairs. I used to use it, and I sort of decommissioned it, and I just use it for anything. And I think that's why, it's because it's got so many bloody fans on it. It's got to keep it cool. Because when you're using CAD, which is computer-aided design, I mean, the bloody machine. Well, I actually blew a computer up once. There's all smoke coming out of it. It's because it really has, there's a lot of memory that's used, and well, that one's a bit thick,
I might have had a few PCs blow up on me in the past. I'm not too impressed with it, but there you go. Always comes at the worst moment.
Yes.
You got no money, and all of a sudden, oh, it's gone. Right. Oh God, there's steam coming out of it. Wonderful. Well, not steam, smoke.
Personally, I mean, I think that Apple Mac is a rip-off because they make Apple iPads. They make them obsolete.
He's insulting Apple here, mate.
Yes. Well, an iPad. I mean, I've got an iPad 3, which was built around about the prehistoric times. I think there was, I think the Romans had just left Britain at that time, or just coming to Britain, and you can do sod all on it. But with an old-fashioned old computer, it might go a bit slow, but you can still get stuff on it. You can't get Telegram on it. You can't get, I can't get Facebook anymore on it. All I can get is YouTube.
It's an obsolescence.
Yeah, it is built-in obsolescence. And but when you look at, I mean, I did a iPadectomy. A very difficult operation,
Yeah, I imagine.
And what happened is I cracked the screen trying to get the bastard undone, and I changed the screen, and you'd be amazed how little is actually in an iPad. But it's so fiddly, little screws, and I wouldn't do it again. But I changed the screen, I changed the batteries, and I changed the charging port. And you can get it all on eBay. I got it for about 15 quid, the whole lot. So I might as well do it 15 quid. Yeah, and getting the bastard, cause it's built so that you don't get into it because it's all glued, all the stuff. You've got to undo the glue But I mean, it's worth
that, isn't it? Really, isn't it?
Well, but I like to repair things. I don't like throwing things out because, again, I'm a tight-fisted git,
I've got an old Alienware downstairs that's had it. If you want to have a go at it, take the husk. It's yours. I don't know what you can do with it. It's obsolete now.
Well, actually, you can if you put more RAM in, sometimes the computers will be okay.
It's kind of the power pack that they've it popped, and you just can't. There's no Dell stopped producing those particular power packs. So as much as the stuff that's in there is still all right, it's still a decent computer in the grand scheme of things. But the power pack has gone, and to replace the power pack, might as well get a new computer.
You can get a power pack from another computer and just change the cables over. Just link the cables through.
I don't know what I say. Right, you're coming for it. I'll leave it there for you because I wouldn't have a clue, honestly.
I'm a Dell fanatic. I like Dells, but my computers are Dells. I wouldn't have anything else. But I had was it IBM? I blew 2 of those up, and I did a lovely firework display with a Hewlett Packard.
They need to go on the bonfire anyway.
Well, it just went.
They're the worst.
There's all smoke coming out of it. Oh,
wow.
But let's have a look at what we got here. Now we've got here. What's it? It is painful, Nathan, But that pain is what
I
makes
agree.
you grow. Embrace the pain, for it always meant to be that way. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
To be fair, part of the awakening process, the real awakening, I'm not on about the fluff and the new age and the fake awakening, all that. So part of the real awakening is to overcome that. It's to accept that that's part of the journey, and it is painful, and it can take a while to learn and to adjust to it and to change your mindset. But yeah, you're absolutely bloody right, Chris. Absolutely. I
and
think
also,
we need a show together because I've not really spoken much to Chris, and I think
yes, you
he's
have to
spot
get
on.
together.
So yeah,
And also, this happy clappy new age is
my favourite subject.
what it is.
Nice.
It's what it is. It's a bit of American Indian stuff. It's a bit sort of, shall we say, Indian shamanic mixed in,
Yeah.
and a little bit of whatever you want to make up, sort of pagan from Europe, all muddled in together, where people sort of, oh,
So this is another problem, isn't it? That a lot of people who like myself, look, I don't like the New Age movement, and a lot of people think that the occult is part of the New Age. And what I like to say to people is, no, the occult's always been there. It's always been in mystery schools and
yes,
mystery traditions and secret societies and ancient academies. All right. So the occult is basically a hidden subject that they've effectively taken away from the people, right? But if you look at it for what it is, it's a nature study, right? But the occult is not New Age. New Age takes the occult and twists it in, and it merges it in with all different aspects of all religions, cherry picks the best bits, and comes up with this mishmash of what the hell are they thinking? I mean, don't forget the Hindu and the Buddhist references as well. Some very good stuff in there, but when you mash it all together, you come up
for
with
some,
this.
you got it right. I mean, I'm not religious, but it's for other people to judge. I like to believe that I'm spiritual. I like to believe that. Whether I am or not, that's for other people to judge. But I think that by saying this, Buddhism is what I would lean towards. I think it was some form of religion. But what gets me is the way they're brainwashing people with this bullshit. I mean, for example, you go to Glastonbury and you can buy dream catchers. What's all that? I mean, it's from, and I think the American Indian tribes don't even know what it is. It's made up bloody hippies.
That's true irony. That.
Yeah, I think the hippies made it up. CIA. Most of this stuff is made up. It's a load of cobblers. It really is. But I mean, I can listen to music. I can drift off. Like, for instance, my favourite is Wagner. But for some relaxation, listen to Mozart. Some of his stuff, not all. Just wow, you can sort of just drift off. That I can do that more than someone saying, you are actually in a woodlands walking through there and it's a beautiful summer's day. No, I'm not. I'm sitting in a room listening to you. I can't do that.
It's not for everyone. I mean, it's like the guided meditation stuff. Sometimes it works for people. I find it a bit cringy, especially when they put that background music on that makes you want to claw your own brain out. It's just whiny shit in the background, and it's God, get me out of that.
And also the Indians go, I mean,
that's a microaggression.
Yeah,
I'm joking. I'm YouTube. I'm joking.
It sounds as if they're suffering from constipation, doesn't it?
Certainly not my cup of tea. Or wolves howling. That's another one as well. You get these CDs with wolves howling in the background. I just think, good God, that sounds awful. Wow.
What about wows?
You know what they're saying though? The whales are saying, listen to these silly buggers, listening to us. We're complaining about the humans and they're listening to it to relax, silly bastards. But
well, I was actually thinking of doing a recording of my farts and saying that it's whale music, and I could probably make a fortune out of that. They go, oh yes, that sounds like the killer shot. No, that sounds like a wow. Oh, it's a mating call.
I can see a franchise development as we speak.
Actually, I've got this little devilment streak. I'd love to do that and go along to and just give it to a say. Go to one of these truth movers and say, look, I've got this whale music. You listen to it. It's really good. It's just the sound of fun.
It's authentic whale.
So I've got this thing about farts tonight. I don't know what it is. Please excuse me. I don't know. I've got this sort of a fart brain tonight. I've been mentioning it a lot tonight. So please excuse.
It's the apocalypse. I can't even say it. Apocalypse of. God, no,
Eclipse, isn't it? Eclipso, yes, that's what it is. But by the way, thanks Ted for the joke. It's Ted's joke, and the sound will be a lot better next week. So if you've got any gags you want me to crack, please do.
Unintended?
Yeah, so what's it? Now it says here, where do you get Linux from? Do you just download it from Google? No, you pay me £350, and I will. and 200 FOC bobs. No, you download it free. You download it free onto a CD. You remember those old CD things, or one of these whatever you call it,
USB stick.
USBs, yeah. And you download it onto there, and what it'll do, it'll divide your hard disk up. All painful. Oh, matron. And what will happen when you switch your computer on, when it boots up, it says, would you like to go into Linux, or do you want to go into shitty Windows? And say, I want to go into Linux, please, or Linux if you're posh. And you go, and it's dual boot, and it's brilliant. Linux. You can get an old computer and it'll run very fast. It's like having a new computer because
all the software that's been removed from it.
Sorry, yeah,
it's bloat, isn't it? It's just all the shit that they put on your system that you don't need. It doesn't make it run better. It just stamps their identity all over your PC.
I found Ubuntu to be the best. That's the most common, and it's best to get the most common because they've ironed all the most of the problems out. I love Linux. I think it's marvelous. Fantastic for surfing the net, but if you want programs, I have to admit that Microsoft Word does take the biscuit. That is good. Even though they've got the equivalent, it's called something else, and you can run Microsoft Word programs on it. So there's a lot you can do with Linux. I've also found that loading up printer files are a bit difficult. It can be a bit iffy on it, but once you sort it out, but there's loads and loads of chat rooms and help things online with it. And remember, Linux Ubuntu is the bee's knees, and you can get one called Puppy Linux, which is very, very small, and you can take around to people. So that is the thing. But you download it for a charge. Okay, you can send me £300 if you want. And I'll send you. I'd send you the whales singing. I think you'll need
mutual exchange. But wait, there's more. You have to sell it. You have to sell. In exchange for your hard-earned money, we can send you some whale noises that'll relax you to sleep. But wait, there's even more. It comes with its very own USB pen.
I'd like to start a new age shop. If I was a multi-billionaire and play farts.
I told you, mate, there's franchises galore we're missing out on here. When are you going to announce your new currency? Is that for a later episode?
Oh, you mean for William?
Yeah, I'll leave that one to you if you want it. If you want that for a later episode.
Why not? Well, I'm doing these. This is Nathan's idea. Now, I'm doing the. People think I made the money by printing these out. See, there's all the FOC bobs. You can download these free of charge. It's the only country in the world where if you're a bit short on the money, you can download it free. There's only one trouble with these FOC bobs. You can buy for nothing.
People are always going on about wanting an alternative currency. They've got one. It's there. Let's test it out and see how well it works. Yeah.
That's it. But Nathan's come up with a brilliant one, and I'm going to do it as a $1 note. Do you want to mention it? Oh, it's classic. You better mention it because it is your.
I'll put it up now. You can you
Well,
announced
Nathan
it.
came up with a picture of Bill Gates and called it a foot bill. I mean, I've been having the giggles today because I'm still writing the next edition of the award-winning. Remember, it's award-winning
Absolutely.
Bockham Hall Times. And you know who got the award? I got the award from myself. Why not? Everything's award-winning.
Yeah. Diplomas
So,
and yeah, all of the rest.
yeah, so everything's award-winning. So I thought, well, why can't I do my own award? Might as well. But I'm actually writing a complaints page, doing my own complaints letters. So, sir,
Complain about
I've
yourself.
never been so offended and all this sort of stuff. Oh, here we go. But anyway, I think we come to the end of the show. I'm sorry I haven't read everybody's. Hang on, I've lost myself now. What am I doing? How comments? That's it. Right. I'm sorry I haven't read everybody's. Oh, here we go.
Oh, you've frozen. You've frozen in time.
Now, that's it. Linux is still susceptible to virus and malware. Be aware that most servers and other devices run on Linux, that it is still commonplace.
Just as so, Dave, he sent me a text about 10 minutes ago, and he said, "Apple hater." So he does love his Apple software. So you're an Apple hater.
I know that can't get viruses, because it is a virus. Hang on.
Remember, Dave, it's not me saying this. It's
Miles. I have to admit this. Miles has got a iPad which he swears by. I swear at them, but he swears by. He loves it.
I like to throw them.
And this iPad, he actually left it on the side. I think on his stove, and he cooked it. And I've never seen an iPad in such a bad condition. It looks as if it's been through a war. It still works. It still works.
Wow.
And he uses it every day.
It's not to stop you from getting in it. It's to make sure that it still works after an apocalypse. Well, no,
Yes.
apocalypse is the wrong word. After a catastrophe, let's go for that.
Was it? I like this. Was it? This is that. That's
Good
life,
evening.
but not. Good evening, inmates. Yes. And then it says, "Do you know the first tablet came out in 1989?" Not many people know that.
Interesting.
Anyway,
Okay.
I will be. Oops, here we go. Hopefully, if I'm not banned next week, YouTube allowing. Isn't YouTube marvelous? They're fantastic.
Beautiful people. I commend their.
I know.
It's got a lot of good stuff on there, and it's fast. I'll give it that.
Yes. Can you smell? No, I think it's bullshit I'm coming out with. Anyway, thanks, Nathan, for coming on tonight. Fantastic show.
Anytime, mate.
Thank you, everybody in chat,
for having me.
and thank you, everybody. Again, if YouTube don't shut me down, everybody on BitChute as well, because hopefully it might load up tonight. It depends when YouTube release this. And anything to say before we go, Nathan?
No, well, yeah, I do actually. Yeah, just thanks to everyone in the chat for your contributions. I like it when you do the chat contributions actually. So it's a shame we didn't get through more of them, but thanks for being here, and thanks for some good stuff in there. And thanks for having me on the show again. Thank you. There you go. There's a bit of gratitude for you. I'm choking on my words now.
Thanks for coming on. And whatever happens, have a laugh.